What's up, guys? Matt Brown here for TheLines.com, PlayPicks.com. I'm going to talk Thursday night football between the Green Bay Packers, or what's left of them, and the Arizona Cardinals. Got a bet in on this one, a fortunately timed bet, and then we'll also talk about the line as it sits right now and what bets can possibly be made, and a whole bunch of different prop options to look at here as we enter Thursday night football with what was going to be one of the better games of the entire season. As always, guys, everything we do is absolutely free. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you guys growing the channel. We're going to do a big giveaway here before the end of the year. All you have to do is be a subscriber. That's all you got to do, and then you're eligible. Also, give us a thumbs up and let us know in the comment section how you're going to play this game that is sitting right now, as you see, 6.5 across the board in favor of the Arizona Cardinals. If we take a look at the total, this thing is sitting at 50 and a half, something like that right now. Yeah, pretty much 50 and a half across the board. There's one rogue 49 and a half right now sitting here for the total in this one. But yeah, this is a game that whenever we take a look here, one of the big things that happened was the Davante Adams news. What happened was this was sitting at 3.5, and this thing ran all the way to 6. Then the Allen Lazard news came out, and it ran all the way to 6.5. And what do I mean by that? That means Davante Adams, Allen Lazard out on the COVID list for both of those guys, so they are out for the Packers. Also questionable, Kevin King, corner, starter for them. Outside linebacker, Preston Smith. Oblique injury for him. One of their best defensive players, if not their best defensive player, is questionable as well. It's not all bad news. They could get back left tackle David Bakhtiari. They could get back wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling in this game. It depends on if they want to go ahead and activate them off of IR for this. Again, with the injury situation, with the COVID situation that's going on, don't really know how they're going to go about this. So we shall see. Something we'll monitor up to game time. On the Cardinals side of things, J.J. Watt is out, and word came out late on Wednesday that it might actually be for the season for J.J. Watt. He's third in the NFL in quarterback pressures on the season, so it'd be a huge loss for this Cardinals defense if J.J. Watt had to go under the knife for the season. Shoulder injury for him. Questionable for the Cardinals, center Max Garcia, starter for them. DeAndre Hopkins is questionable as well. And apparently this is like a true questionable, not just the DeAndre Hopkins is always nicked up type questionable. Apparently like an actual true questionable for DeAndre Hopkins. So that's something that we're going to need to really monitor in this one. I'll scroll down if you guys want to go ahead and read along with everything that we got going on. Free preview over at the Lines. Here's the thing that you probably already heard. And if you haven't already heard it, you're going to hear it between now and the time that the game starts. Or you're going to hear it when the game starts. Or you're going to hear it during the game. Over the last 2 seasons, Aaron Rodgers is 6-0 when Davante Adams is not in the lineup. That is true. This is what people are going to preach to you. What they don't do is give you any context to that 6-0 over the last 2 seasons. First off, 4 of the 6 teams did not have a winning record. Did not finish up the season with a winning record. So they beat 4 of the 6 teams were bad teams that they beat. Then the 2 teams that they did beat that with a winning record last season, the 2020 Saints, they did finish 12-4. But the game that they beat the Saints were without Michael Thomas. So they were without Davante Adams, but the Saints were without Michael Thomas. Then in 2019, they beat the 12-4 Chiefs. And you're like, oh, wow, 12-4 Chiefs. That game, guess who didn't play for the Chiefs? Patrick Mahomes. Matt Moore played in that game where the Packers beat the Chiefs in 2019. So all the people take this and they throw it out there and they run with it without doing any sort of research whatsoever and see that they beat 4 teams that did not have a winning record and 2 teams missing very, very key components. One of which the most key component in all the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. So let's not just start jumping up and down with this whole ridiculous thing that they're 6-0 when Davante Adams isn't in the lineup. It's garbage. What we do know about this, and I'll scroll down a little bit further if you want to read a little bit more about this, is that Davante Adams is a massive, massive part of this Packers offense, as you well know. Between him and Allen Lazard, again, both of those guys out on the COVID list. 94 combined targets between the two of those guys of 136 targets that have gone to wide receivers. Let me say that again. 136 targets have gone to wide receivers, 94 of them between Davante Adams and Allen Lazard. That is 69% of all wide receiver targets. 928 of the team's 778 total passing yards have gone to Adams and Lazard. 928 of the team's 1,230 receiving yards that have gone to wide receivers have gone to Adams and Lazard. This is a massive, massive, massive chunk of this offense is not going to be in there for this team. That's not to say that they can't do anything at all. It's not to say if Marquez Valdez-Scantling gets activated that he can't at least make up some of this. But it's very, very hard to make up 69% of all of your wide receiver targets. 928 of your 1,230 wide receiver receiving yards. It's absolutely insane. This Cardinals offense has been really good so far. You can see Cardinals offense versus Packers defense over here. Again, this is all free over on the lines as well. But you can see they're putting up 32.1 points per game. Packers defense has actually only given up 21 points per game so far. They've been fairly decent. They just haven't been nearly as good defending the pass. This Cardinals offense, you see averaging 32.1. They've put up at least 30 points in 6 to 7 games this year. So they've scored at least 30 in 6 of the 7 games. You can kind of take a look at these stats a little bit further as we go. But really what we're looking at here is I can't read you Green Bay's offensive statistics because I just told you so much of that offense is gone. So it doesn't really matter if I tell you they're 4th overall DVOA right now, that their pass offense is 5th overall DVOA, et cetera, because it doesn't really matter. With Adams and Lazard out, all of these stats are negated. They're moot. That said, what doesn't change really is how good this Arizona Cardinals defense has been. That said, the big loss of J.J. Watt certainly is going to affect them a ton. That said, they've really overproduced so far. 2nd overall DVOA, 5th overall Pro Football Focus. Against the pass, they've been really, really good. Number 2 DVOA, number 2 according to Pro Football Focus. If you take a look, yards per pass given up, they're 3rd in the NFL. They're that good. Early down EPA, they're 6th in the NFL as well, so they're not allowing a lot of success on early downs. They're 2nd in the NFL in points per play given up as well. So you can tell this offense has been, this defense for the Cardinals has been really, really good. To get to 7-0, you have to play some defense, right? You can't just luck into 7-0. You can't just luck into a high-powered offense to go 7-0. You got to have some defense as well, and this defense has been playing very well. And now you get this team without 69% of their wide receiver targets on the season. Their offense, good as well. 8th DVOA, 8 according to Pro Football Focus. Their pass offense, of course, as you know, with all those weapons, all those receivers, absolutely lights out. 2nd according to Pro Football Focus, 4th according to DVOA. If you look yards per pass, they're 2nd in the NFL. They're 7th in yards per play in the NFL. They're 2nd in points per play in the NFL. So the offense has been great as well. Kyler Murray's been really, really good, one of the front runners for MVP so far this season, and as long as he stays healthy, this team should continue to rock and roll. The Packers defense, on the other hand, has been fairly decent so far, but if you look at the underlying metrics, it's maybe a little bit of smoke and mirrors. DVOA actually has them way down at 24th. So a little bit of that comes into play here whenever you look at maybe some of the strength of opponent that they have played so far, which, by the way, their defensive strength of schedule, so their opponents that they played so far, it's 29th for Green Bay. So they've not played a tough strength of schedule so far. If you take a look, one of the big problems that this defense has had throughout this is they get no pressure on the quarterback. So Kyler Murray should have all day to throw. Their pass rush win rate is 22nd in the league. And if Preston Smith can't play, then that's going to be even worse because he is their key when it comes to all that. And they've been giving it up on early downs, which means Arizona, if Green Bay's defense continues to play like they have been, which early down success rate, by the way, given up, they're 28th in the NFL. They're 23rd in early down EPA given up. What that means is shorter second downs, shorter third downs for Arizona. We're not going to be in these third and long situations with Arizona that's going to be shorter. Should this play out how it has the rest of the season. But it's a big-time mismatch here without Davante Adams on the field, which is why whenever you go back and you look at these odds, this is just screaming teaser leg all day long. You take this thing down. Look, I got 3.5 on the news when it first broke. I live on Twitter. That's fortunate for me. It is what it is. Like I understand most people have a real life, and I'm fully aware that I don't. That being said, it's still in a very juicy teaser range here at the 6.5. We take it down to the 0.5 point. Arizona just has to win. They just have to get it done at home against the Packers without Davante Adams and Allen Lazard. And maybe Preston Smith. Pair it up. There's several different options here. Taking Tennessee up to 7.5. You could do that. Kind of the non-traditional teasers are out there as well. If you like some of these bigger favorites and want to just bring it down a little bit, there's a couple of other options here. If you want to take Minnesota up to 8.5, Dak Prescott is apparently way more questionable than we thought in this thing. If you want to take Washington up to 9, kind of some of these non-traditional angles that you could do as well. But I love the teaser leg, opening up a teaser here with the Cardinals at 6.5 for sure. No real play on the total because I don't know. I don't have a full-fledged feel for how this game is going to go. I think there's a chance in this game that Green Bay, if they were to start to get beat up pretty bad in this thing, that they kind of wave the white flag, which is why I'm not jumping up and down to get on an over in this thing, even though, traditional thinking would be that there would be a lot of points scored, but maybe they kind of wave the white flag. Why have Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones out there taking meaningless snaps whenever when your aspirations are hopefully to win the Super Bowl, right? And so, to do that, you need to win the division first. And, them being out there taking meaningless snaps and taking the possibility of getting hurt. I could see Aaron Rodgers, I could see Aaron Jones finding their way to the sideline at some point in this game if this thing gets out of hand. So no thoughts on the total there for me. On the prop side of things, I do want to look here whenever we head over and take a look at some of these running back props. First and foremost, if you look at Aaron Jones on the receiving yard side of things, and now this has rocketed up to 38.5 at this point. Earlier today, it was much further down. Way down, actually, so far down, it was like in the 30.5 range. So no longer there. That being said, look, if you can find a better number than 38.5, you can find a 35.5, 36.5. I think Aaron Jones is going to have to be a big, big part of this pass game, right? Without those guys in there, I mean, he's the second leading receiver on this team, basically, as it is anyway, outside of Lazard. So Aaron Jones is a big part of this, and I can just see him being an even bigger part of the receiving game. Should they get down in this game, it plays into his favor, and honestly, he might just have to be part of it from the get-go. So really do like the over on his receiving total here. On the reception side of things, and this is where you guys are going to have to just listen really, really close, and I'm going to start giving some hypotheticals here, but I want you to be on top of it whenever we hear stuff throughout the day from beat reporters, and certainly, I guess, when we get the final injury reports when things go down. But if for whatever reason DeAndre Hopkins is not available, we need to get on AJ Green stuff quickly. Now you can see it's already starting to get juiced to the over. I don't know if this is people just speculating that DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to play, or if they're speculating that he might be limited or something like that. But you can see the over on AJ Green's already starting to get some juice here, starting to get some love. We can see AJ Green's 45.5 over here at MGM, so it's at even money. So. Might want to look, 115 over here instead of the 120. AJ Green's going to be the beneficiary here. More targets, more looks, more everything if DeAndre Hopkins is not available. So certainly want to look at those. Keep your eyes and ears open for that. If you want to go ahead and speculatively play it anyway, thinking that even if DeAndre Hopkins goes, that he's going to be super limited and might find his way to the sideline because he gets hurt again or re-injures what's going on with him, I wouldn't hate that angle in the least bit. So overs on AJ Green. The other thing here is if you believe, and for me, I kind of do, right, is that this game could kind of get out of hand in favor of the Cardinals. I do believe that. And if that's the case, I want the over on James Conner rush attempts, the over 10.5. Because if they're going to get ahead later on in the game, they're just going to salt the clock, right? That's what you do. You get ahead, you run the ball more. I like the over on James Conner on the 10.5. Because again, I'm going by how I think this game's going to play out. So I do like that. And I also think that with that, I think taking DeAndre Hopkins unders is a pretty good bet as well. If he truly is a game time decision, and that's what we're hearing, then that means this injury is way more serious than a lot of these DeAndre Hopkins injuries that we've normally been dealing with. And listen, they have guys, right? I mean, they've got AJ Green, they've got Christian Kirk, they've got Rondale Moore. I mean, they have guys still at receiver. They acquired Zach Ertz, so they are not completely 100% reliant on DeAndre Hopkins, right? And so I think the unders on him as far as yards and even receptions is probably a pretty decent little play here, because there's like several different ways that there's outs for you here, right? One, they just get ahead and run the ball a ton as it is anyway, so he gets kind of game scripted out. 2, re-injury. 3, them just being cautious after they get ahead. They pull him and put him on the sideline. So I think there's a lot of different ways you get there on the unders with DeAndre Hopkins. So I'm going to be looking for those as well. Of course, he might not even play, but we go ahead and get those in the account and go from there. And of course, the AJ Green stuff, just be sure and monitor. If it sounds like DeAndre Hopkins is going to be on a pitch count, any sort of limitations, if he's really stretching it and pressing it to be able to go in this game so that re-injury risk is super high, or they just want to get cautious and put him on the sidelines. And we're going to go overs on the AJ Greens as well. If Marquez Valdez-Scantling gets activated off of IR, he's not listed yet, obviously, because he's not officially active. But if he gets off of IR, definitely look his way for props. He will instantly become the number one target for Aaron Rodgers in that game. So something else to think about as you're playing the props in this one. But guys, listen, open up a teaser leg with the Cardinals. Feel great about it. Feel good that you get them down to just having to win against this Packers team that's going to, I think, struggle to move the ball very well. And then go in and get those props in your account. I think we're going to have a good Thursday night football game, or good Thursday night game betting, I should say. Not necessarily the game. The game might get out of hand, but I think we're going to have a good Thursday night betting everything. As always, guys, everything we do absolutely free game previews, all that. Just come up here, NFL, Thursday night football, bam, bam, bam. It's all right here for you. Other breakdowns over here where you get all the stats and things like that. Just absolutely valuable stuff. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Really do appreciate all the support, fellas, and good luck on all your bets here on Thursday night.